Lauren, it's so good to have you with us. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to have this conversation and discuss what is happening in our industry right now and how we can move forward and how we can move forward in a better way, right? Because if we continue doing the same thing, expecting a different result, definition of insanity. So
Exactly. Now you've been out and about. I know we were talking before we came on the air. You were just at the Florence conference in Atlanta, so you've been out and about with a lot of people. But let's get 30,000 feet. And I know you were talking with folks at ACRP there, where I used to work, and others. There's this issue, a chronic workforce shortage issue. The demand for clinical trials has never been bigger, yet the workforce is smaller, and not able to keep up. How did we paint ourselves into this corner? What's going on here?
yeah, it's such an interesting thing because while I don't think that there is any one answer to this question, there's no one thing that caused this big issue. Similar to all the big issues that we have in our world, there's no one way to attack it. But what I want to say is I think part of this situation that we found ourselves in is a little bit of a self-inflicted wound, right?
Mm.
This is something that we have caused ourselves. This is something that we have categorized people into specific places to ensure that they're not able to enter these things. Why are all these entry level positions posted but required to those 1 to 2 years of experience? How can somebody possibly get the job without experience, but not get experience without getting the job? It's so backwards and
It's basically
so
it's a series of catch 22s, and we're paying the price, right?
yeah. Yeah. And, it's one of those things that I think we need to get a little bit more creative with the way that we screen people, the way that we look at candidates beyond just the paper, but really to the person, and how we can really educate our staff, educate the people who are doing the hiring as to what they want to look for and how they can look for it and how they can strategically find that person. Because what we're looking for right now is truly a unicorn, right? It's that 1 to 2 years of experience that wants to make $45,000 a year, wants to be living at the site 24/7, working at the site 24/7, and it's just not happening. So how can we find people outside of that one singular comfort zone bubble that actually can make that impact and can do something different in order to get something different?
Now, it sounds like what you're saying to me is a little bit of people, employers, sites, et cetera, sponsors are almost looking for, especially at the entry level arena, are looking for almost the wrong set of skills, or not what should they be looking for, do you think, more than they are?
Again, it's going to be a not one size fits all sort of situation, unfortunately. However, what I always like to look for is aptitude and attitude. And this is something that I talk about a ton with all of our partners, with organizations that hope to partner with us. To me, aptitude is somebody's, and I Googled this answer more recently because who Googles what aptitude is? Aptitude is defined as somebody's natural inclination, right? Somebody's natural pizzazz, natural charisma, natural go-getterness, right? That's somebody that you walk into the room and you're attracted to instantly. That's going to be somebody that you want to work with. I organize my closet. I'm looking at my closet right now. I organize my closet from color code, right? I color code it. That's my natural inclination as a human being. Now, not everybody has that. So ask them about what they look like in their day-to-day life. What is their aptitude? And secondarily, the attitude of it. Are they willing to come in and work? Are they willing to do more than what they're paid for so that way they can eventually get paid for more than what they do? That is something that I think we so often overlook. Somebody who's willing to come in, hit the ground running, be a sponge, absorb. Is training harder or retraining harder? If I take somebody with old bad habits, all these things that they've developed over their career, and they're sitting in those bad habits and they are holding so tight to those bad habits, how much harder is it for me to help them forget those bad habits and move forward versus taking somebody who's energetic, ready to learn, willing to learn, excited to learn, and help build them up?
This 2-year requirement thing, I mean, talk about your thoughts on that. This arbitrary 2-year requirement has been a real problem.
Well, I have so many thoughts on that, Michael. Really, like every single one of us, I could throw a rock in any of these conference rooms and hit somebody who fell into clinical research. I make a joke at the beginning of each of our programs. You're going to hear all throughout the week, I stumbled into this position. I fell into this industry. I had no idea what I was doing when I got here. And yet now we've set this standard that's that 1 to 2 years of experience. And I get it. It's a screening way. It's a really great way to get people who know what they're talking about because it says in their head, oh, I don't qualify for that role. But How else can we do that? How else can we screen for that? I've recommended having people submit video resumes, right? See their personality, see who they are, how they hold their presence inside of a Zoom room, maybe even, right? Ask them those star-based questions. Ask them to tell me about a time when you demonstrated these skills versus just what's one strength that you bring to the table, and everybody says that one cheesy strength that really doesn't necessarily
Work too
define.
hard, I care too much. Yeah, right,
I care too
right.
much, right?
Yeah.
And so those are such standard answers and such standard things, and it's not working for us right now. So I want us to think outside of the box, not only in who we hire, but how we hire. How we hire is so important.
So, all right, so before I let you go, you strike me as an optimistic person. Do you feel optimism about, they always say you can't solve a problem until you at least name it. And we're doing a pretty good job of that these last few years. Do you think we're turning the corner? It's going to take some time, but are we in a better place than we were 5 years ago in addressing this work shortage?
I think so. And, it's such an interesting thing because when I walk into a room now and when I speak to people, they seem more open than ever to give somebody a chance. They
Hmm.
seem more open than ever to look at, the teacher who's worked in education for the last 10 years. They seem more open to the MA who has a little bit of experience, but only has their first professional job under their belt, and maybe even a chef, right? Or all these different types of backgrounds to be transitioned into this industry. And I think that that's step one, is being open to the conversation and then developing.
All right, Lauren Stockwell, thank you so much for joining us and the work you're doing out there. You're giving me some optimism. I think we are going to address this really important issue. But thank you again so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michael, for having me.